Hello again, I'm back with another update. Now, about twice a year, I do something called an all aquarium update or all enclosure update. I think this time I'm going to focus a little bit more on the aquariums and less on the terrariums, although I'm going to show you because they're around. I don't really have much alive inside the terrariums aside from what makes them bioactive, so there's isopods and springtails and stuff like that. But I don't have a lizard or any exotic bugs anyway, to show you in there. So it's just plants. Another thing to note is a lot of my stocking is kind of low right now. It's right at the beginning of summer, and I'm probably not going to be giving these things quite as much of attention as I do through the winter time. So I tend to kind of let my stock dwindle down. I think sometimes as Aquarius, our attentions kind of tend to wane here and there for a while. You can go really heavy for many, many years, and then suddenly you're like, I'm sick of the chores. And keeping an aquarium doesn't have to be a big chore. A lot of my aquariums are sort of on autopilot right now. That's not me saying I don't clean them or do maintenance or feed my fish or anything like that. I do all the same things I did before. I'm just not adding more things. So I'm not, there's not an aquarium I'm dying to set up, or there's not I don't want to rearrange, I don't fuss over where my plants are if they float from one side of the tank to the other, and I replant it there. It doesn't bother me. It's nice if you can get your aquariums to the point where they don't require much maintenance. So that's really the ideal, that balance that you keep hearing people talk about. When you get to that point, and not every aquarium I have has reached that point, but when you get there, you really don't have to do a whole lot to keep it maintained. Many of my aquariums, including some ones that people like the most, like the Megaflex, for instance, it gets about one water change a month. And I only change about 20% of the water. I think I'm mostly adding nutrients in so that some more fresh metals come in for the plants to eat. And that's sort of my idea there. A lot of times I measure the health of my aquariums by the accumulation of algae and how the plants are doing. So I use my plants as sort of a gauge for how the tank's doing. That's sort of an imperfect thing, but it's something that I don't know. I think every aquarist, especially after they've been doing it for a decade or more, and if they haven't gotten so frustrated by that point, they must be doing a few things that are pleasant to look at and experience. So I suppose I've got my own way of doing things, and you get into these little roads. It's funny because when I first started keeping tanks, I was changing water about 3 times a week. And it seems like it's just every year it's been like a little less and a little less and a little less. And now I'm like, it's only been a month. So as usual in the upcoming montage that you'll see of all my tanks, I've gone around and I've filmed everything and done the best I can to sort of document where they are at this point in time. Unlike usual, I'm going to skip the narration and just kind of put this over music and add some text and stuff so you kind of get an idea of what tank you're looking at. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask them down in the comments down below, and I'll do my best to answer them as soon as I can. If you're new to this channel, it's a very playlist-driven channel. I have a lot of assembled playlists for different subject matters and stuff, especially different types of projects and builds and even updates like this one. So when this video is over, feel free to follow those links and go to more content if you want to see a deep dive into any particular type of thing that I've worked on. Now, I did want to get a little bit more of an update on the 210, since that was my latest project that I did just not too long ago. Just a couple of videos back when I completely took this down and rebuilt it and made it new again. This tank is so much better than it was before. It's really nice. I'm already seeing like less algae, having a lot less problems. Unfortunately, there were some fish that passed away pretty soon after this came over. For instance, all of my rainbows are dead now. Now, they were getting really, really old, but what's weird is in a span of 1 week, I lost rainbows out of here. I lost my little their babies that I was gathering up of theirs, all of those passed away, and a different species of rainbow altogether in this tank all passed away in that 1 week. I hadn't done a water change or anything that would have introduced anything into the aquarium that week or anytime recently. I didn't change the food. It was just a really mysterious thing. And it was so strange that it seemed to be all rainbows. So that was unfortunate. The other thing that happened that was kind of terrible is a lot of the small fish. I'd added all these small fish in here, kind of culls, and like I've got too many guppies, so I threw some guppies and stuff in there. And some other random fish that were kind of singular. They had once been part of like big schools or something. I thought maybe they'd all be fast enough to, avoid Mr. Tubes and stay away from him. But and for weeks, like literally for the first 2 or 3 weeks, they were all in there and they were fine. So I thought, oh well, I'll add a few more fish. Well, I added these green tiger barbs, which apparently are the slowest, dumbest fish ever. Talk about shaming the victim. Yeah. So unfortunately, I gave Mr. Tubes a very expensive dinner. He ate about half of them in 24 hours, the first 24 hours. But I had put like 19 of these things in there. Because there's so much coverage and stuff, I was like, well, maybe some of them were hiding in it. And I didn't notice like right away the next day. He showed no interest in them until nighttime. I should have taken them out right then. I know I should have, but I had a bunch of stuff going on and I had to leave. So I didn't have time to even start catching them. And I was more like, oh, wow, that's weird. I thought it seems like there were more of them. So by the next morning, there are only probably a handful of them left, maybe 5 or so. And we gathered them up, or Holly netted them up for me because I was away, and put them in the other tank. And then I went to the store and I bought a few more to kind of make it a full school, and threw them in there too. So yeah, that was an expensive and sad adventure in owning a Bisher. I don't see Mr. Tubes very often. But usually when I throw some food in, I'll see him kind of prowling around and stuff. And I hear him at night moving around. If you come over, you can kind of see his big white belly at night. It's kind of interesting. The other fish that I added in here that I've had for a really long time, like he was there before I set up the 57-gallon column that I broke down and kind of brought the plants over for this. It's a Raphael catfish. I brought him out of another tank that I had moved him to upstairs, so I put him down here, and he's running around. You're going to see him in the video. I haven't seen him like this much since I bought him years ago. So it's really interesting. I like how he's moving around and kind of exploring in here. Just kind of made a new home. All right, so I've jabbered on long enough. Let's go ahead and take a look at all the tanks, and I'll be back in just a minute. that's it. That's a quick look at all the stuff around here. Now, I haven't been making very many videos for the Aquarium channel lately, but that doesn't mean I've forgotten about you guys. It doesn't mean I don't want to do more. It's just, it's been so many years on here kind of doing this and that routine. I'm sort of breaking that routine and seeing if I can come up with other interesting ideas. One thing I really want to do is travel more and go visit other aquarists in their space and kind of bring that to you too, and explore how maybe other people keep their fish. I do have some products and some projects to do. There's a company that reached out to me just recently and wants me to demonstrate these canister filters. Now, these canister filters are kind of odd looking and interesting, so I asked them to send me a sample, and we should be seeing that really soon. And we're gonna unbox it, look at it as it's intended, and then I'm gonna do something with it that it wasn't intended for, if it works out. But folks, that's all I got for today. If you haven't clicked like yet and you liked this video, please do. It really, really helps. And leave a comment. Let me know what your favorite tank was, or if you have a question. I'm sure you do. As I mentioned before, this is a playlist-driven channel, and I have playlists right here for you. Please subscribe if I've earned your subscription today. I'd love to see you again. Until next time, follow your bliss, keep a clean tank or tanks, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.